Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is July 28th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Today's been kind of a sleepy, kind of slow day, but overall it's been good. I had a really fun last night, which I'm going to get into. I guess we'll kind of weave it in with the food corner. Why not? But yeah, I wound up going down to Northside. My friend had some family come into town, and this is like family I've had Thanksgivings with, and so it's really nice to see them go out, kind of hit the town a little bit, have some drinks, which was kind of surreal in its own way, but it was really fun. So yeah, we all got to hang out, and more friends came out, and food wise, we had some bridges, which is really yummy. Restaurant I've mentioned before, like the Polyfusion. I had a shredded chicken and veggie bowl with like lentils and beans, and then a samosa. It was really good. Let's see here. Later on in the night, after a few more drinks, kind of closing out, I had a bagel and the taquitos because we just, was wound up eating some random stuff at the house. Then I later got up and got a McDonald's breakfast because I was just feeling very debaucherous for some reason. I don't know. But I got a sausage McMuffin, a bacon and cheese biscuit, no egg. I really don't like eating egg in general, but then let's see here. I got an order of hotcakes and a hash brown and a large sweet tea. So yeah, I feel like a wet turd for that, just physically. But it hit the spot. It hit a spot. I'll say that. Let's see here. But yeah, I got all my groceries done, so that was solid. I will say I spent like way too much money, but hopefully I'm gonna have some like nice little food, planned, ahead. So like hopefully that goes well. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Knock on wood. But yeah. Covered that. Enough about me. Feel like that's more or less been my day so far. Also, just kind of just reminiscing on the week. It was a nice way to close it out. It was nice to see some friends, be with some friends, have a good time. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and do the startup. And then I have a new drink. What is this thing called? Titano Boa, something like that. But it's 9% alcohol volume, so it's already speaking my language. Let me go ahead and just give it another sip here. All right. I do like it. Yep. It's for the alcohol volume that is very light, which is very strange. Like usually these things pack a punch in terms of taste, but this one's not that bad in terms of that. So that's nice. All right. Did that. Let me go ahead and do the rest of my startup. Okay, that hit the spot. Now let's get into some news. From the BBC, Israeli strike on Gaza school killed 30. Health Ministry. Israeli military has struck a school near Deir al-Bala, a city in central Gaza, killing at least 30 Palestinians and injuring more than 100, according to the Hamas-run Ministry of Health. Excuse me. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, said on Telegram that a Hamas command and control center was embedded inside the Khadija school. The IDF added that Hamas used the compound as a hiding place to direct and plan attacks and store weapons. Gaza's health ministry said footage showed victims were civilians and most of them were children. The BBC verified a video that shows children among the injured. Gaza's Civil Defense Service said the school was sheltering displaced people. Hamas said in a statement on Telegram that the report that the school was being used for military purposes was false and displaced sick and wounded people, most of whom were women and children. Witness Mustafa Rafiti told the BBC the explosion shook his body and he fell from the blow. Afraid, he said he ran inside the school and saw body parts in a terrifying scene. So yeah, I mean, there's obviously more details there. I want to scroll ahead a bit to a part where I had highlighted. Gaza's health ministry said 53 people had been killed and 189 injured since Saturday morning due to IDF bombing near Deir al-Bala and the southern city of Khan Yunis. The strike occurred as Israel continues its months-long military campaign in Gaza that has killed more than 39,000 Palestinians, according to Gaza's health ministry. So yeah, just an update on what's going on there. Also, another update in the area, just kind of going out from the Lebanon area, the Associated Press. A strike from Lebanon killed 12 youths. Could that spark war between Israel and Hezbollah? The Middle East braced for a potential flare-up in violence on Sunday after Israeli authorities said a rocket from Lebanon struck a soccer field in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights, killing 12 children and teens in what the military called the deadliest attack on civilians since October 7th. It raised fears of a broader regional war between Israel and Hezbollah, which, in a rare move, denied it was responsible. So, I mean, this is one of those situations where the evidence, as we have it, as we see it, it does point that Hezbollah made a miscalculation in some form of their missiles, and they didn't wind up shooting an Israeli base that they were planning on, and they wound up hitting this area that had children in it, and winds up killing like 12 children. So that may be why they denied it, or it may be that there's another reason here, and you know there might be more evidence that says otherwise. We don't know, but I'm kind of going for or with the stock conclusion as of right now. Overnight, the Israeli military said it struck a number of targets inside Lebanon, though their intensity was similar to months of cross-border fighting between Israel and the Iranian-backed Hezbollah. Hezbollah said it also carried out strikes. There were no immediate reports of casualties. Saturday's attack came at a sensitive time. Israel and Hamas are negotiating a ceasefire proposal at the end of nearly 10-month war in Gaza. Let's read a little bit further. On Saturday, a rocket slammed into a soccer field where dozens of children and teens were playing in the Druze town of Majal Sams, about 12 kilometers or 7 miles south of Lebanon and next to the Syrian border. 12 were killed and 20 others wounded, according to the Israeli military. One 11-year-old was missing. Residents told Israeli media. I feel darkness inside and out. Nothing like this happened here, resident Anan Abu Salih said. There's no way to explain this. I saw children. I don't want to say what I saw, but it's horrible, really horrible. We need more security. On Sunday, the coffins passed through a crowd of thousands. The Druze are a religious sect that began as an offshoot of Shiite Islam. There are Druze communities in Israel, Syria, and Lebanon. There are among 140,000 Druze in the community, or 140,000 Druze in Israel and 25,000 in the Israeli-controlled Golan Heights, according to Yusri Hazran, the Hebrew University. Let's see. The Druze are considered among Israel's most loyal citizens, although those in Golan Heights have more of a fraught relationship with authorities. Israel captured the Golan, a strategic plateau from Syria in 1967, Mideast War, and annexed it in 1981. Much of the international community considers the area to be occupied territory, while Druze leaders in the Golan profess allegiance to Syria. Relations with Israel are normally good. So yeah, I mean, this is something that potentially could escalate the war with Lebanon. I kind of have a little bit of an add-on here, but not too much details because it's paywalled by the Washington Post. Israeli military said it struck Hezbollah targets deep inside Lebanon Sunday after a rocket strike from Lebanon killed 12 people. most of them teenagers and children, on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, raising the specter of all-out war. That's a conversation that happens a lot, and hopefully it doesn't come to an expansion of this war. But obviously, it's unfortunate to see losses of lives on all sides of this conversation. So let's go ahead and move on. Let's hit some more topics from the Associated Press. North Korean charged in cyber attacks on U.S. hospital, NASA, and military bases. A North Korean military intelligence operative has been indicted in a conspiracy to hack into American healthcare providers, NASA, U.S. military bases, and international entities, stealing sensitive information and installing ransomware to fund more attacks, federal prosecutors announced Thursday. The indictment of Rim Jong-hyuk by a grand jury in Kansas City, Kansas, accuses him of laundering money through a Chinese bank and then using it to buy computer servers and fund more cyber attacks on defense technology and government entities around the world. The hacks on American hospitals and other healthcare providers disrupted the treatment of patients, officials said. He is accused of targeting 17 entities across 11 U.S. states, including NASA and U.S. military bases, as well as defense and energy companies in China, Taiwan, and South Korea. For more than 3 months, Rim and other members of the Andriel unit of North Korea's Reconnaissance General Bureau had access to NASA's computer system, extracting over 17 gigabytes of unclassified data, the indictment says. They also reached inside computer systems for defense companies in Michigan and California, as well as Randolph Air Force Base in Texas and Robbins Air Force Base in Georgia, authorities say. The malware enabled the state-sponsored Andriel group to send stolen information to North Korean military intelligence, furthering the country's military and nuclear aspirations, federal prosecutors said. They've gone after details of fighter aircraft, missile defense systems, satellite communications, and radar systems, a senior FBI official said. When North Korea uses these types of cybercrimes to circumvent international sanctions and fund its political and military ambitions, the impact of these wanton acts have a direct impact on the citizens of Kansas. And that was Stephen A. Cyrus, an FBI agent based in Kansas City. Now they've offered a reward for Rim, a reward of $10 million. And I'm sure you're thinking, like, wait, like, I thought you're indicting this guy. Like, what do you mean? Like, shouldn't you have him? Well, that's kind of like, a bit of the tell here. This is one of those situations where they don't have the guy. They just know that we have evidence that you're the guy who did it. You're responsible. So we can trace it to you. We can prosecute you in absentia. And maybe one day, if we ever get you, then, we can just straight up lock you up. So that's more or less the situation at play here. Let's see. What else did I want to pull here? I guess we can kind of talk about some of the FBI gains. In 2022, the Justice Department said the FBI seized approximately $500,000 in ransom payments from the money laundering accounts, including the entire ransom payment from the hospital. But an arrest of Rim is unlikely, so the biggest outcome of the indictment is that it may lead to sanctions that could cripple the ability of North Korea to collect ransoms this way. I mean, maybe, which could in turn remove the motivation to conduct cyber attacks on entities like hospitals in the future, according to Alan Liska, an analyst with the cybersecurity firm Recorded Future. Now, I don't believe that. Also, I feel like this guy adds, and I don't really want to get into the quote, but he says well, at least this maybe might hurt China too. Maybe they're not going to be stoked about this because they were kind of used as a go-between. They're allies to North Korea, and it's I don't think China gives a fucking shit. Also, I don't really think North Korea gives a damn about this. I don't even I'm sure Rim's oh shit, yeah, that's me. But I don't think he's going to be apprehended by any authorities anytime soon. I mean, these are cyber crimes. It's not like he's doing this shit abroad, to my knowledge. So, or abroad in the sense of a way that an ally country could catch him and then extradite him to the U.S. I don't see that happening in this case. So, I mean, hey, you're calling it out. You're making a note of it. And hey, maybe you might do a sanction. That might be the biggest impact out of this. But I doubt that would bear any real fruit. So, but we'll see. All right, we have one more thing I wanted to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and call it a day. Let me go ahead and take my last break, and we'll go ahead and close it out. Whew. Ooh, excuse me. All right. I gotta say, this is from Yahoo Finance because Bloomberg paywalled me. So, you know what we say? Fuck Bloomberg. Anyway, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash prevail in California gig working ruling. Uber Technologies Incorporated and Lyft Incorporated can keep classifying California drivers as independent contractors after the state's top court said a company backed law passed by voters doesn't wrongly curtail the legislature's power over worker protections. The unanimous ruling upholding California's Proposition 22, which received majority voter support in 2020, was released Thursday. The favorable ruling for gig economy companies removes what investors regarded as a major regulatory overhang. Had the judge ruled to invalidate Prop 22, the companies would have faced the threat of millions of dollars in additional costs to pay drivers if they were to be reclassified as employees, upending their business models and potentially raising user costs in one of their biggest U.S. markets. Shares of Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and Instacart all spiked on the news, with Lyft jumping by the most 7.4%. The shares have mostly erased gains at 2:18 p.m. New York time. So yeah, I mean, how do I feel about this? I think it's a bummer. I personally don't care about these fucking companies. If they came in over their head and they can't support this shit, then they shouldn't be considered a viable company. They should just fucking be belly up. Because I just don't feel like this has ever been enough money. I mean, I'm biased, right? I'm a person who's done DoorDash. I've always thought that it's weird that you're labeled as an independent contractor, yet you have to report to DoorDash like you were a Domino's, like you were a Pizza Hut, like you were any kind of delivery driver. But yeah, your pay is just substantially less. So having your pay like you're an employee, like you're an actual employee of this company, and not having to do the extra ass like rigmarole, especially too on your taxes, but that's a whole other fucking thing. I just think would be best. I think that that's better for the employee, and that's who should be most, looked at here on the spotlight, focused on. Obviously, the customer, it sucks that you have to pay more, but I mean, yeah, this shit shouldn't be, light for the person who's doing all the work, backpacking all the fucking food. Obviously, not doing all the work. The people who make the food, you know what I mean. Y'all get it. So I do think this is a setback, a letdown, but I do get the judge upholding the ruling, if that's what the people wound up voting on in terms of this proposition, that's how it's going to go. But obviously companies like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash put in a lot of money. They poured more than $200 million into their 2020 campaign to preserve their core of their business model and keep drivers classified as independent contractors. So yeah, obviously they're stoked. It's a win for them. But yeah, I know for the drivers, they're not happy. They're very upset. Let's see. I'm gonna read from Hector Calistanos, the plaintiff in the case, called Prop 22 a bait and switch meant to enrich global corporations at the expense of Black and brown immigrant workers who power their earnings. Adding that the ruling only strengthens our demand for the right to join together in a union. CU International President April Verrett also said the ruling is disappointing. However, said Uber and Lyft drivers in the state refuse to back down from their fight to win union rights and bring these companies to the bargaining table. So, I mean, hopefully that's something that can happen in the future. I know it's added that, like, hey, Prop 22 technically isn't shutting down the right for, employees to potentially make changes if they can work that out with the work or with the companies individually. They're just not going to be a blanket to like force that action. But I mean, me personally, I would have liked to see, that turnaround. Call it regulatory overhang or not. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, that's more or less where I'll leave it. I know I could expand on this more, but that's what the article is for. If you can get to it, like I said, that's why I point out that this is a Yahoo Finance. Don't fucking pay Bloomberg, boo. But yeah, that's where I'll leave it. And I don't feel like shilling. It's Sunday. We usually don't like to do that. So yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.